Well, good morning and welcome to the Building Investors YouTube channel. I have a simple video today for you. Sometimes I wonder, how do I make a video or what do I make a video on? And today's video is super simple, but I have had questions on how to caulk, trim, and all that stuff, and I'm actually going to be doing some countertops we just installed. So without any further ado, let's get into explaining how it's done. So if you're trying to pick a caulking for different types of jobs, there are clear caulking and white caulking, and basically any other caulking that you need to match. And so I'm doing clear because I don't really want to color match the walls or the countertops in this case. So I'm doing clear, and then there's also a bunch of different types of clear. You can get super clear, somewhat clear, and then also you can get caulking that dries really fast or really slow or that's really stretchy or not stretchy. So just make sure the caulking you pick is the one for the job. This one is clear, just the generic clear. So let's go ahead and get this cut down to size. We need to cut the top off, poke a hole in the top, and then put it in the caulking gun. I'll show you how to do that. So here's the caulking gun. This is a pretty decent one. They have cheap ones, which are fine to use. But it has this button on the back. If you press it, you can slide this arm in and out freely. It's kind of like a lock. And then when you squeeze the trigger, it pushes that rod in, which pushes this in, which pushes your caulking out, of course. So this may be more simple than most people need, and then on this side, there is a little thing that is all glued on because I haven't cleaned it, I guess. There's a little poker. So you take this, after you cut the hole, and you poke it. So let's cut the hole. There's also a little hole over here. And you put your nose of your caulk in it, clip it off, and then you can use your little poker. If yours doesn't have a poker, you can use a nail or a screw. And you just shove it through, and it pokes through the top of the plastic inside there. And then with your arm pulled all the way back, you slide it into position. And I use my stomach and push this to push it in. So you're ready to go, and you just squeeze it till it starts coming out, which is about to come out there. And then also the way I use to clean up my caulking is a damp rag. Now you get it warm water, cold water, doesn't matter, but I usually start with warm water and then it gets cold. But anyways, let's start laying down some beads of caulking, and I'll show you how to make it look nice. Now the purpose for caulking is to dress up any gaps that you might have on trim or on surfaces. And then also to seal any gaps so you don't get any stuff down inside of it. So I'm laying this first layer nice and thin just so I don't have too much. And down the side here. And then I'm gonna spin my tube and then squeeze it up the side here. It's always nice to drag your caulking instead of pushing it, because if you push it, you'll make a bunch of clumps like I'm doing here. So this is clear caulking, but it is white when it's wet, so it'll dry clear. So I'm just gonna take my finger, and sometimes you can wet it, make it a little better, and then slide it along the gap here, and that will push the caulking into the gap, and then it'll also will make a nice round look, nice and clean. And you just come back through and clean the excess off with your finger or your towel, like so. You just want to make sure all the extra's off. And then down this thing. And then when you come up here, it's the same thing. Just like so. And then when this dries clear, you won't even see it, but it'll look better than not having it. So anyways, that's how you do this section of it. Let's do a little close up of what it looks like. Like I said, this caulking, when it's fresh, it's white, but when it dries, it's clear. So it's gonna change to clear, which you may see later on. So here's a close up. Nice little simple bead, and then pushed in with my finger. You can use whatever finger fits the size the best, but usually I just use my index finger. And now if you're caulking an entire house, your finger may get really tired, worn out, because it's always wet all day long and then riding along some rough stuff. But they do have tools that you can use, little plastic tools that have the shape of your finger basically, and you scrape it off. But I like using my finger because it's more handy. I always have it with me, hopefully. But anyways, let's get to caulking the rest of this. Sometimes you're going to come across a scenario like this where the gap is bigger than the hole that you cut on the top of your caulking gun, which isn't a big deal. You can either cut the caulking tube a little bigger so you can put a fatter bead down there if most of your gaps are consistently bigger. But in this case, most of my gaps are tight except for here where the wall's a little crooked. And so I'm just going to do a couple passes. So you saw that I already did one pass there. I'm going to spin my nose around like this, and then I'm going to pass and try to fill that up like this until I'm still not filling it up. So one more pass until it's filled. And then I just take my finger and push it in, and look, should look nice and clean like that. So when you're done with your caulking job, you're gonna have a rag that looks somewhat like this. It's kind of just full of a bunch of excess caulk that you wiped off of the countertop or trim, whatever you're doing. So this caulking is a water-based cleanup, so it's just a matter of running this under the faucet, rinsing it out, and it'll be no problem. But if you get like 100% silicone, it is not water-based. You have to use some sort of paint thinner or cleaner to get it off. So unless you need a silicone, 100% silicone, I would not go that route because it is messy. But this stuff is pretty good. And so I got it all caulked. It looks pretty good. I have to go caulk the trim now. But yeah, that's about it. I'm sure this is not an all-inclusive video on caulking because, I mean, what else is there to share? I mean, there's other stuff to share, I'm sure. But if you have any questions about caulking or finish stuff in general, let me know. Leave in the comments down below. Hopefully this video was not too boring. I don't know if I had any jokes in this one, crazy. But anyways, check out my sunburn. That was just from yesterday, mowing the yard. I am a little bit white. But anyways, thanks again for watching. We'll catch you later. Enjoy the videos to come.